Welcome to BAM.
Broadcast Millionaires.
I was going to say I lost the count again. I think it's like 14, 15.
14, 15.
Did you guys see that Instagram? I don't know, some sponsor, like he's like a coach for podcasts and stuff. He says 99% of... Oh, yeah, I sent it to you guys. 99% of podcasts...
Didn't Jawad send us that?
No, I sent it. Oh. I'm the other guy.
He sent it in the group chat that usually only Jawad talks in.
Yeah.
99% get to 20 or 21 podcasts.
Yeah.
Didn't you say 99% don't?
Sorry, like, yeah, and then the...
This guy sent it.
My God. Can we restart?
Nope. You don't have time for this shit,
That was Alex Hormozy that you sent.
Was it
That's
him?
the guy, yeah.
Apparently
Apparently that guy made like 300 episodes before he blew up.
Yeah. Really, eh?
Of a podcast, yeah.
But Jacob's rates, I don't think we can
You
afford
got
that.
COVID? You got COVID beside me?
No.
Okay.
I'm just tired.
Does that even exist anymore?
Yeah, but I think people just don't care.
They forgot.
They just call it a cold now, like they should have back then.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Tell me how you really feel.
You know how I really feel, bro.
But it just lasts longer. And then if you get sweats, that's probably because you ate something bad.
Or it could be a flu.
Yeah,
which is what they should have called it too.
it is a flu.
Because you notice the flu didn't exist during that time of COVID.
Yeah, crazy.
You take a look at the records, the number of flus went down.
Yep.
And the number of COVID went up. So
but we try to get targeted, man.
I don't give a fuck.
Just all the time.
No, but you know the health ministers and stuff like that, they were getting like hounded. People were like protesting outside their door. They're getting harassed. They were getting like...
You were there, right?
No. Never.
And then they froze their bank accounts?
No, they did that somebody else.
Yeah.
And then
anyways.
What a turn this took. We're supposed to be talking about the market.
To do with
Imagine
our
tuning in
topic.
thinking we're going to talk about real estate.
Yeah, I thought so too. Actually, that did affect real estate, obviously.
Yeah, real estate boomed.
Yeah, why did it boom during the COVID times, Rabieh?
A couple of factors. I feel like a lot of people want to invest in their homes since they weren't allowed to leave their homes.
Yeah.
And so they want to be more comfortable at home. Also,
house arrest.
Yeah. Also, with low interest rates, it made it very affordable for you to buy a much larger home and kind of upgrade yourself. So people took advantage of that.
Yeah.
I feel like some people took too much advantage of that and are kind of in a stuck position right now. Some people leveraged their homes and now interest rates have gone up and it's time to renew those mortgages they got.
Ooh, okay. That's a good segue.
I know I'm great at this.
Yeah, it's very, very good. But another point during COVID that there was FOMO.
Yeah.
Heavy FOMO.
Heavy FOMO.
Yeah.
Also, not 2019, but the years before were slower years in the market. So the real estate market, especially here in Ottawa, was due for
an uprise.
But you know, I feel like it was starting to pick up though, even before COVID hit.
It really was, yeah. 2019 was
like
a crazy
2019,
year. 2019 was a good
prior
year,
to that. So
Yeah.
you had all this buyer demand that was waiting to happen, and then COVID seemed to be the
I could tell you
matching
2015 was kind of dead. At the end of 2015, like in the fall,
Yeah.
after DRAP, for those of you that don't know DRAP, that's Deficit Reduction Action Plan. That was Mr. Harper's cuts across the government in the government city, so it really affected Ottawa. Once that occurred, then at the end of 2015 and early 2016, we started seeing Ottawa boom. But it was just like inventory levels are going down. So basically, it goes from a very, very strong buyer's market to slowly a balanced market, and then starts to tiptoe into a seller's market in like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
So by 2019, it was like fast. It was fast moving. 2020, everything comes to a halt. And then as soon as they opened up the doors.
Well, I feel like even 2018, 2019, there was a huge demand. Because I remember going into the sales center when I bought my new build. And I walked in just to inquire. And they looked at me and they're like, we don't have anything left. People were camping overnight.
In 2018?
That was in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
But it was starting to happen in 2018 even. And I remember my whole rationale. I was like, I should go look into buying something because I'm like, it's almost $500,000 right now for a townhouse. I'm like, I got to buy something before it becomes completely unaffordable for me.
Oh, interesting that you thought that.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I think most people would go, oh, it's $500,000 townhouse. It'll never go further than that.
So...
Like, I think that's
even
the mentality.
Now, that's a mentality.
I don't know if I told you about one of my first town home that I bought, but I bought it, me and my brother, we invested together.
Yeah.
And so we bought this thing for like, I think at the time it was listing like $311,000. It's a townhouse in not Finley Creek, just before Finley Creek. It's
Leitrim?
called I forgot what the name of the area is. Anyways, We bought it. And my brother's
You
like,
live there now.
no. And my brother's like, let's buy another one. And then the prices had gone from like 311 to like 330, 340. And I'm like, no,
expensive.
man. I'm like, this is peaking. There's no way it's going over 350. This, that, the other. And obviously it did. And so when I saw things creeping up into the fours, mid fours, I'm like, hey, shit. I'm about to get hit again. I'm like, I got to buy something before it explodes. And
Absolutely.
sure shit, thank God I bought that thing when I did, because definitely exploded.
Laughing now.
Yeah. I'm happy I did it.
Isn't that interesting? But a lot of people do think that this is the peak. And the interest rate, the crash, COVID, fear-mongering nonstop. It's always the apocalypse. What would you do about that? And like, you're younger.
Yeah.
Do you guys hear, like, in your generation, is that something that you'll hear as often as we do, or as we did, I guess? Or are we just inundated at different generations with different things?
No, I think at my age group, I feel like some of them feel like it's not attainable.
Yeah.
Because of the price. And it's hard to qualify, right? Like you almost nobody can, for their first place, can do it by themselves, kind of thing. Like you kind of need a dual income situation in most scenarios, especially right now with interest rates as high as they are.
I bought my first one in 2009.
Yep.
How about I tell you that I had to have a buddy to buy it with?
Yeah.
Well, that's why
He did the same
that's
thing.
why I had my brother jump in, because I probably I wouldn't have.
Yeah, but that's
qualified on my own.
you just
But
asked me what they're feeling.
I know.
That's what they're feeling.
But the fear mongering is that's
But
what
it's
I'm
funny that
asking.
we all went through this at different times in our lives,
And it was unaffordable at the time.
and it's
Yeah.
still something that's
and that's
being-
always going to be the case,
Yeah.
right?
But we're making it on TV. We're making it that it's like, the millennials and Gen Z and the whatever. I don't know what they're going to come up with next for names, but it's impossible for them to buy. Do you want to live in a country where the rich is getting? And I'm like, what's going on? Why is it like that? And has it really changed between 2008, 2009 till today?
I mean, I think it has changed. Is it as drastic of a change as everyone's saying? I don't think so. Like, everything is kind of relative, right? It was hard then, and it is hard now. Could it be a little bit harder now? Yes, but like, we found ways to make it happen back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the same as being at a lower price point and your interest rate is double digits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
correct.
you then go change that, it ends up adding up to be the same thing. Like 5% feels like what it would have felt like to be at like 9% or 10% or 11%.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're right. It's
But
all the same.
It's so funny because people would be like, "Oh, how much did that house, sell for in 1990?" I go, "Oh, 100,000, 100,000," and this guy wants $1 million for it today. What the hell? Why should they blah blah blah? And I'm like, okay, but hey, there's like 10 years of 20%.
Yeah.
Or I don't know how long, actually. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Asterix will fact check this. There's a long time of really high interest rates. So shouldn't they get compensated for those years worth of high interest rate?
I actually did the math with one of my friends, and if you actually calculate the amount of interest that you're going to pay in a year on a lower price point house at a higher interest rate, it ends up being the same amount of interest.
Yeah. So what Elliott's
It's
saying
all
is,
relative.
are you saying like during the peak versus now kind of style calculations?
Yeah, even like if you went back to like 2015 numbers, for example. Like no matter how far you go back, it all ends up being equivalent, and then you compare what people were getting paid at those times versus, and it's all like, it's always going to be tough.
It's always going to
I
be
mean, I
tough.
feel like we've said it before in previous episodes too. A lot of it is priorities and where people want to put their money, right? What are you prioritizing? Are you prioritizing the nice shoes and clothes and the designer stuff, the trips, you know what I mean? Instagram pics and shit like that? Or are you going to prioritize, grinding it out, setting your money aside, chilling at home, or just doing things that aren't going to cost you a lot of money, put more of that money towards buying the house and then achieve that goal?
Yeah, and the other thing is like, okay, well, if you're buying your first property, right? Like, why are you looking at $700,000 townhouses?
Yeah.
Like, that's not the way it should work. Okay, maybe your parents have a ton of equity, they can gift you down payment, and then you're in that price range. But if you're somebody who doesn't have help and you're trying to save, 5-10% for a down payment, why do you think that you're gonna go jump straight into something that is $750,000?
Nobody wants to go through the struggle.
Yeah, but
that's the thing. Nobody wants to struggle and work towards.
They'd rather rent something nicer.
No, but they have this mentality or like this image in their mind of, I deserve to be in that type of house. I deserve to be in a townhouse. Like, Ottawa has that mentality, okay? Whereas in Toronto, you'd be like, yo, if I could get
a condo,
like the parking spot,
600. Man's gonna set a tent up.
Yeah, it's just like, yo, you let me sit. You let me sit.
Hopefully, it's heated garage.
Yeah, hopefully. So like it's a different expectation level, right? And Toronto's been hot for several years now, and they're 4 times the population, but it's all condensed. So Ottawa, like back in 2009, I was able to buy something quite central. Now with that same budget, you know, I would have to go like for that, like that era, 2 of us would have had to probably go into the suburbs, and that just you know, as a result of the city expanding. So the stuff that's in the center is growing faster or whatnot, right?
For what you can rent, let's say a townhouse for, you can easily convert that to mortgage payments and get yourself like a stack condo where you're not like in an apartment, but like you can get like a 2-level, so you still have enough space and it's affordable enough, obviously, relatively speaking, with depending how much you have down. Like if you have 20% down, that stack condo is cheaper than rent. I could almost guarantee that on a townhouse.
Yeah, exactly. So the rule is you rent 1 step up. So you buy 1 step down. Like if you could afford to rent a townhouse, you likely should be buying a stacked, unless you make enough money that rent was quite affordable. But most people rent up rather than rent what's affordable to them.
Yeah, but
that was weird.
Yeah. That
tripped me out. A weird sound outside.
I thought Jacob was on his phone watching.
Was he watching?
That's the question.
We all know.
Spit on that thing.
Spit on that thing.
Oh my god.
Jawad needs to put her on the screen.
Yeah, he's going to. Jawad's waiting for this moment.
No. Jawad, do not do any of that.
But like you said about the stacked, kind of comes back to what I was saying about focusing more on aesthetics. No, more on aesthetics. No, because they're gonna go take a look at that stacked, and now they don't have an ensuite.
Yeah,
they might not have a walk-in closet.
Yeah,
and so now it's no longer appealing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Whereas it's like, okay, why don't we just get something to get the foot in the door, build that equity, and then grow it slowly. And like I said, go through that grind, go through that hustle in the hard times.
But there's no patience.
No,
I think people are so picky.
Yeah,
it's not just patience. It's just so
But
picky.
like stack condos are nice, man. Like you can get them up to literally the same square footage as you can get in a townhouse.
Yeah,
you can get.
And they're fantastic rentals, and they're really headache free. Like they're great.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
And if you keep looking forward to like, okay, how you're gonna like why is the price gonna go up? Well, that's the starting point for most people. There's gonna be the next, you know, you look 3-5 years from now.
Yeah.
That is now the starting point for the next people that are buying their first home.
Yeah.
Like there's like demand's always going to keep kind of
like what you're trying to afford today is unaffordable for the next next guy.
Yeah.
So then they're going to the old condo buildings.
Exactly.
You just got to be patient. Like that first townhouse that I got, I think I bought it in 2011. It was a few years before I really saw any equity in that.
Yeah.
It was a new development. The whole area was growing. I remember at first I was like, shit, this was a bad investment. What did I do? Like, it's not growing what I thought it would. But yeah, a few years down the road.
Yeah, you know? Sometimes it's like Ottawa has that trend anyway, where you have long periods of very, very slow increase, and then you'll have like a 5-year period where it doubles.
Yeah,
COVID just shortened that 5 years into like two. You know, which is like crazy, right?
Yeah, I love it when I just love it when the trend is quite consistent, because then you can forecast, you can plan, you can figure out what is it that you're making, what's the next move that you're gonna do, and it gives you time to buy and average down your costs. Versus when things like explode and prices are going really crazy, then you don't have time to do that due diligence and actually do a proper plan. So
yeah, you can still forecast, especially like you can't forecast when it's exploding. Like you can't say, oh, like from this time it's going to go down. Now, if we knew the interest rates were going to go up, okay, then now you can forecast, but we don't know that, right? But now, like sitting where we're at, we know that the price is sitting around 2021 prices. That's pretty much like a floor of sorts for the pricing. People are holding their ground in terms of sellers.
Yep.
And if you know that the price was up here and then interest rates came and then we dropped, call it 20% on average in Ottawa, because you lost more in the suburbs, but you also gained more when it went up because people were moving.
Yep.
Anyways, you know that, okay, now we're here and the price is not falling anymore. So the price will go up as interest rates drop, but it's not, what I'm not saying is like, oh, you're going to go surpass the highs, but you went up, you came down, you're going to balance somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it's going to gradually go back up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's going to hit the highs actually, because we're already halfway to the high from 2021. Okay, like right now.
Yeah, but fundamentally, like how a market works, it'll have to test the price again.
Yeah.
Like from a psychology standpoint, like if you're a buyer, okay, are you, now that we're back up, like at what point are you, you know, saying, no, let's wait a little bit?
I don't think we're going to see the same explosion that we saw. I don't disagree. Eventually, it's going to get back to that point.
Yes.
I just don't think it's going to happen as quickly as what we saw happen.
You're going to have a slight,
But we're talking about we're 10% off.
Yeah.
That can happen within 2 years on a very, very normal gradual increase.
Yeah, but that's in 2 years. Where it happened in like 6 months.
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh, I'm not saying it's going to be 6 months.
Yeah.
But that's what happened in the COVID times, right?
Yeah,
It just
2025
nowhere.
maybe. Yeah.
Bro, you're seeing 20% in 1 year. That's crazy. That's not even...
I don't even want that. Like
I agree.
Yeah, I really don't want that, because then in order for us to build proper portfolios for clients, like you want to have the time, right, to do it.
I think I like prediction, like as that interest rate comes down, I feel like year over year now compared to next year, like if we come back next year and look back at where we are now, I think if you look at that year, you're probably going to have a stronger year, like probably as long as interest rates continue to move how they're, you know, we're expecting them to, you'll probably see the higher end of maybe, you know, anywhere from 8 to maybe like
low
double digits, like maybe like 8 to 12, let's call it that.
Yeah.
Then after that, you'll see low increase for probably a good couple years. Then seeing that, it will surpass eventually.
Yeah, I think once okay, so a couple of things happening. We're expecting inflation rates to come down again. As a result, hopefully the Bank of Canada is also going to reduce our overnight rate. Population, though, they've turned the corner. So in 2024, we've hit peaks again. But now the prediction, it's coming down. Yeah. So they're going to limit the number of people that are entering the country. Still growing the country, but limiting the number of people.
So they're just reducing the volume of people getting their PRs and so on and so forth.
Exactly. But we also have a flood of rentals that are coming onto the market in the next few years. Which I kind of want to talk about. Actually, I want to talk about this CMHC program that everybody's talking about, MLI Select, and then maybe we'll talk about commercial a little bit. There's a couple of topics that I think you guys wanted to talk about. But
they can slow down the immigration, but you have the lagging effect of all the people that came in the last year, 2 years. We talked about it with Frankie. Yeah. All these people, they're not producing at their highest economical output in the market. So these people are going to come in and now start to we'll use the doctor example again. Maybe they're going back to school right now. And then all these people that came in are now going to be producing at a higher level, thus giving them the opportunity to qualify for homes.
Yeah. But keep in mind that if a bunch of rentals are coming onto the market, those guys that are building the rentals with this new program likely are the bigger developers. It's not like the small time guy, because this is the issue I have with this program.
Omar wants to do it.
Well, yeah, I'd love to do it, but the thing is, the banks don't have time for you, so they're allocating all the resources to the larger projects.
Yeah.
But what you need is the small guy that has a few bucks here and there, or a group of guys that want to do syndication, and they go and build 6 units, 8 units, 10 units. Those guys, they're not, that missing middle is the issue with the banking system right now, and CMHC is just overwhelmed with applications. How
would you get around that? Like, you have to go private?
So you'd have to do private initially for construction, and then switch over to CMHC. Now, CMHC at one point was saying, oh, yeah, that's okay, but we don't accept private money. So we will not pay out people that, like, if you went and got a construction mortgage with a private lender, which was your only other option, then they wouldn't pay you out, because they're like, we don't know if that lender, where that money came from.
Yeah, how legitimate it was.
But then now they just switched the rules on that. But by switching the rules on that, they switched other rules saying, oh, now you can't get max points in each one of the categories. You have to like go and get
for like being environmental.
Yeah, so a lot of people were getting environmental, like I'd say energy savings.
Why don't you explain a little bit more about the CMHC Plus or Select or whatever?
Yeah, okay.
I'm familiar with it because I know we've dealt with it a few times.
Yeah.
But most people don't know what you're talking about right now.
So Canada in general needs housing. And as part of the policy and part of the...
Did we ask for a backstory?
Well, I have to. I have to give you a backstory. I'm a professor.
Bro, he just take whatever he wanted to say, add 5 minutes of talking.
It's been a while since we recorded. He misses the sound of his own voice.
Yeah.
He's just fucking going in. Bro, just what's the program? How does it work, Omar?
See, Massey, this is what I deal with.
Massey's uninterested, bro. He's on his phone right now.
There's
too much fucking story before the content.
I'm about to educate them.
We want the meat and the potatoes.
This is what I go through. I'm trying to keep it professional. I'm trying to keep it on track.
Does he look like he's a professional? He's one of us, bro. Talk to him like he's one of us.
I don't know how to talk like that, like with my hands and stuff.
No, you just know how to talk like this with your hands.
Like this. Yeah, I'm learning. Okay, so government came out with a policy to increase the number of rental properties that are coming onto the market. Now, what they did was they said, how do we motivate developers to invest in that? We're going to give them cheap interest rates and long amortizations.
Cheaper interest rates.
No, really cheap interest rates.
Yeah.
Like when the traditional banks are telling these guys, hey, we'll give it to you at like 7-8%. CMHC was dropping it like it's hot, like probably like 2-3 points below that.
4%.
Yeah. Where it was lower or almost the same at the time as you buying a townhouse.
Interesting.
So it became very, very attractive because they're not used to that. And so the profit margins grew.
And don't they give you like better debt service ratios?
They give you better debt service ratios as well.
With the amount of points?
Yeah, so most of the time traditional banks are looking for about 20% coverage between your net cost, like your net rent and your cost. So they're looking for that you cash flow, let's say.
So in simple terms, if your expenses are $100, then your rent coming in needs to be $120.
Net rent, so net of vacancies. But yes, yeah. Basically, they want you to cash flow $20 on that 100.
On 100.
Long
After
story
paying
short,
mortgage.
If you want to come build something with a lot of units, they're going to give you preferred rates.
So they're going to give you preferred
See
rates.
How easy that was?
Yeah.
and then they're going to give you like long-term preferred rates, like 10 years or so. But you have to commit for those 10 years that you abide by certain criteria. So they're also holding your hands.
Okay, so what are the categories for you to qualify for these preferred rates? And
so there are 3 categories. Very good question, Elliott. There are 3 categories. One is energy savings, affordability, and the third is accessibility. And any mixture of those can get you up to 100 points, which will lead you to the best amortization. Like, so dividing over about 50 years instead of 25 years or 30 years. Getting the best interest rates, getting the low debt service ratios. So that means cash flowing at close to $10 instead of $20 for every 100. And anyways, there's other little benefits.
What do you mean by accessibility? What does that mean?
So accessibility would mean that it's barrier free, having lower light switches, easier accessibility to
like ramps and things like
ramps to get into your unit, to move around into your unit. So which means that, let's say it's a 2-bedroom apartment, you might decide to make it into a large 1-bedroom or 1+ den to allow for a larger washroom, to allow for what
So you don't know how to talk with your hands, but you're doing a whole lot of this.
But I'm not doing gangster signs like I don't know.
So you said affordability is one of the criteria, right?
Yeah.
So how do they police that? Like, who decides what affordability is and isn't?
So CMHC has very, 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 very old data.
How many varies?
At least like 3-4 varies.
Yeah.
And then they say that this is the median income in that neighborhood. Okay. And then they say that affordability means 30% of that median income. So if the median income...
But it doesn't apply for all units. It can be like 20 or 30% of the building has to abide by that.
Yeah.
And that will qualify you for points.
Well, depending on the number of units that you have, it gives you a certain number of points.
So if you have 10 units, you have to do it for like 3 or 4 units.
Which might give you like 20 or 30 points or whatever.
But I would assume that people would lean more into probably environmental first,
energy savings.
Energy savings. So I figured that would be the first thing to get as many points in that category.
Yeah.
And then do as much accessibility as you can that makes sense financially. And then the affordability thing might be the last kind of priority.
I would say that's probably the last two. Everybody goes towards energy, and people used to only do energy, and then CMHC realized.
That was going to be my question.
Oh, yeah.
Can you focus on only one of those three categories and gain all of your points off of that one category?
Yeah.
Or do you have to have a bit of all three categories?
So up until early June, the answer was
of this year,
June 2024. Up until then, CMHC would profess that you have to have all three categories because it's a policy. They want to push all agendas. But in reality, the point system was actually awarding to whichever. And everybody was going for energy efficiency.
So I could get 100 points on my build with just energy.
Just energy efficiency. Now, a couple of weeks ago, in early June, they changed that you have to now have some sort of accessibility and affordability if you're doing energy efficiency. And what that does is also influence the value of the property, because value of properties, as you know, is all based on how much rent is coming in versus expenses and the construction costs.
Yeah, but if for affordability, I guess that would be part of the criteria for the mortgage. Like you have to, let's say 3 out of 10 units need to be X price.
Yeah.
When those tenants turn over, how do you then...
You're signing a declaration and a commitment for 10 years with CMHC that you are maintaining that threshold of 30%.
Okay, so who's going to calculate... Units. How do you get the number when it turns over? Because let's say your first client or your first tenant...
It's published.
Okay, so they set the benchmark.
Yeah, they set the benchmark.
Are they really checking in though? Let's say there's turnover. How often are they really checking in to know that people are adhering to this criteria?
Look, they could report back through CRA declarations.
Yeah.
You could have that stuff.
Okay.
Or they could do an audit.
But really, it's not even that bad, because if you have 3 out of 10 units at that level, you'll just rent those out very quickly.
I don't disagree.
And then the rest of them are just going to follow.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
All they're doing is they're just like, people are just saying, okay, yeah, I'll do 3 affordable units, and then they'll go to the city and they'll try to get extra units in as part of their let's say the law said 8, they're going to try and do like 11 units and make those 11 bachelors, like studios. And by doing that,
it's automatically a more affordable.
So it's more affordable unit anyways. But they're not doing it like, oh, if it's a 2-bedroom, then you could go to this price. If it's a 3-bedroom, they're just saying, we want dollar limit. We want $1,500 units.
Okay.
We want $1,800 units.
Okay.
And but that's like not strategic, because the whole point of
bachelor's $1,800 anyway. So
exactly. So the developer's not losing anything off his skin. So what you should be doing is saying, we are looking for 3-bedroom apartments in the city, because that is the problem. That is what we don't have, and that is what's not affordable.
Oh,
everybody that's 3 bedrooms is going to the suburbs, but now they have to pay
for a
second car
for the developers to do it at that point.
Correct, because then look how that's double the square footage.
Yeah.
So that now it's not as... Anyways, but that's what you have to incentivize. I don't think you should be giving grants to people. I like the interest rate reduction. I like the amortization. That's a good program in general. Now, how it's implemented, look, they did a pretty good job. I think there's some tweaks to be done. But what people should be doing is assigning, not rebates, but assigning incentives for the individual to grow. Our policies and our systems for affordability tend to keep those who are in need of affordable units in segregated and exclusionary zoned like areas.
Someone
I don't like
this
that.
Guy in politics, man.
Yeah, like what you should do is, like, if Elliott requires help with his rent, you should have that Elliott, no matter where he moves in the city, as long as he's trying to do that for the economic benefit of Elliott and of the city, that the subsidy goes with him everywhere. That way, Elliott will move to Canada instead of staying in Vanier. That's really what we want, because Elliott's going to get closer to that new job. Whereas what they're doing is they're saying, no, you want the affordable unit, you have to stay in this one neighborhood. Why is that? Like, you know what I mean? And then we're saying, oh, but I already gave the developer $100,000 for that unit to keep it affordable for 10 years. No, whichever unit that Elliott goes to should get the subsidy with it.
So what you're saying is each individual should apply for their own subsidy rather than giving it to developers to build.
Correct. And incentivize the developers using methods like
interest rates
and things like that.
Yeah.
Non-cash gifts, non-cash giveaways, because you want the properties to maintain its values and whatnot. So then that way we don't want to create ghettos. That's the whole problem in the 90s, is that they've created ghettos to try to attain a social system. Anyways, we totally digress. But point is, MLI Select and MLI Standard is two programs that they have now to promote all these affordable units. And they're good, but they are geared to, like, the banks are so busy that they're geared towards $5-10 million projects and more. And nobody's looking at the 1 to 3 million. And that is the volume. That's where you're going to get the highest volume.
So you want to know why he wouldn't be good for politics?
Why?
Because he talks too much. Politicians don't talk that much.
Well,
they get questions. They ask some questions. They dodge it. They do talk a lot, but just like they dodge the questions.
I give information.
Goes into it, you know.
I have like a clean haircut,
so I won't wear.
I'm not going to get into it. Okay. Any other questions on MLI Select?
No, that was relatively
that was
clear.
Actually very informative, Omar.
Actually, he says actually like most of the time. Okay, so I'm going to flip another question to you. I don't know which one of you wants to take it, but I'm sure that you're hearing that everybody that's going to renew their mortgage in 2025 is freaking the hell out. So is it me that I'm hearing fear-mongering regarding this, or is it actually the truth, or what's your opinion? And then I'll correct you.
This guy's crazy.
You want to take this one, Elliott?
I
or
think,
you want to start and I'll jump in after?
Yeah, okay. I think if you're just renewing, it's not as bad as people are expecting. Like I've talked to clients that are renewing, and it really depends on how tight you are financially. Like are you living right on the cusp? Then an extra $300 will fuck you up. But $300 in the grand scheme of things is not too bad. Personal belief. But what I am finding is that the people that are now in a position where they want to go move up in properties are getting sticker shocked by what the new mortgage amount is going to be. Because if you then go,
from a townhouse,
like for example, I had a client recently. They own like a condo townhouse. Their principal on what's left on their principal is probably, call it 300 mark, like somewhere around there. Then they want to move to the freehold kind of townhouse position. But even with the equity, they're still adding probably $200K to their mortgage now, right?
Yeah.
And they're up for renewal, so they've had this rate for, call it, 4 or 5 years.
So it went from $300,000 to $500,000
loan amount.
Yeah, loan amount
Plus interest rate of, call it, mid-2s to 5.
Yeah.
And the combination of the two, they literally turn around and said, it doesn't even make financial sense right now for us.
Yeah.
So I think that is more commonly kind of what I'm seeing personally when I talk to clients. That's more common than the person that is just straight renewing their mortgage. Or another scenario, they're trying to refi and pull money out of the property. Then it can get, your payment can increase quite substantially.
But why wouldn't they just like re-amortize their mortgage then?
Well,
like if they've already paid
re-amortizing, depending on your loan amount, is going to be that $300 difference. So re-amortizing a renewal will basically put you in the same position as you were already in.
More or less.
But what I'm saying is when you're adding loan amount, that's when the big sticker price comes. You can change it from 25 to 30 years, okay, but that doesn't change the fact it's you're still in a tighter position.
But is that like going from a condo townhouse to a freehold townhouse?
Yep.
Is that like really any different than it would have been in any other time? Like that. Like there's a few events happening in the same time, but regardless, they would have paid more just to be in that. Like
absolutely,
like $200K difference in the best of times, like during the lowest point of COVID, like with the lowest interest rates. I mean, would have still cost you like $600-700 per month.
Yeah, but it's
I
still
think we're at
amplified
now.
by the
Amplified,
interest rate.
Yeah.
Because yes, you can have a 200K difference, but the interest on that 200K is what's really the big one, right? Like if interest rates are lower, sure, your buy is going to be more expensive, but so is your sell.
Yeah.
So the price change itself is kind of
the variance,
right?
the
like
gap between the two.
Exactly. It's you buying and selling in the same market. Typically you're not going to get them like it doesn't. You can't time it, right? Like timing it isn't going to change much, right? Because if you get less on your sell, you get less on your buy
and sell,
so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
But now the extra 200 loan amount is more expensive because of the interest rate.
Yeah, I get it.
So I think what a big part of it is too is that a lot of people extended themselves kind of to the brink because their rates were low and they got to get something a lot nicer than what they thought they would or what they could have typically gotten. So they've already stretched themselves. So now with that increase,
when interest rates were low, you're saying
interest rates were low. So now that there's an increase in interest rates, now they're going well beyond what they're capable of affording. In some cases, I think that's what's happening. But something else people aren't looking at is, okay, I bought this house for $500,000. I've got interest rate of X amount. Now I need to go remortgage or refinance. Well, you're not refinancing the price that you bought the house for. You're now refinancing whatever your lower amount is, whatever you paid off on the loan or whatever's left over, right? So in some cases, it's actually not going to be as bad as what people think because you're now remortgaging less of an amount.
And you've paid so much faster. Like remember, you paid
Because the rate was
2/3
low.
principal, 1/3 interest, whereas now it's the opposite.
Yeah, but
So
if
you
you're
got-
at the beginning of your, like, say you bought like 5 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
And you're on a 5-year term, you're still majority of your payment goes interest, even though it's less interest. You're not paying it down that quickly.
No, you're not.
No, but
it's,
when the rates were like close to 2%, yeah, you were paying 2/3, more than half for sure was going
even
towards,
in the first 5 years of like you just bought your first property.
Yeah, that's what was amazing about when they dropped the rates.
Yeah, I think all in all though, like renewing is not that bad, or not as bad. And again,
it depends on each individual situation. Because again, if people over leverage themselves, a lot of people took the opportunity to pull equity out of their homes to buy multiple homes as well, while everything was hot. While the
and
rates
they were okay
low,
with servicing that debt.
but now they're not able to service that debt with the increase. So I think you are going to see an influx of homes going on the market for people who need to sell. But like I said, then there's going to be the other side of the spectrum of people.
But that would have been a line credit, and now it's, or in some scenarios, I guess, because you could refinance. Yeah. But a lot of people we saw in the past year or two, those people that are like super tight cash flow, that kind of overextended themselves and no risk. I mean, too much risk. We saw them flood the market a little bit. When Rabieh says people overextended themselves, I just want to add a little asterisk. He's not just talking about real estate; he's talking about like everything in
across
life.
the board.
Because during COVID, you could buy a really nice car for $700. Lease a nice car for $700. That same car today is what, $1,200.
Yeah, for sure.
So now you have $500 increase in your lease if you want to keep that car.
Keep in mind too is that everybody was at home, restaurants were closed, movie theaters were closed.
You weren't spending $200 a week.
They had extra.
You were spending a lot less money on a daily basis, on a weekly, monthly basis, because there wasn't as many activities to do.
I know, man. I spent a lot of money
traveling.
on Uber.
On what?
Uber Eats.
On Uber Eats, yeah.
Yeah, is that a plug? Are they going to pay for this?
No, probably not.
This guy's always trying to get it.
But that's the thing, right? Things opened back up. People started traveling again.
Yeah.
People started going out to restaurants, probably a little bit more than before because they were so cooped up at home. They missed it. Plus, the cost of all of that went up as well. So now people are spending so much more money and they're not realizing what's coming up.
And then minimum wage went up in the same time.
Yeah.
Carbon tax comes in. There's and then now capital gains.
Yeah. So it all comes down to you as an individual too, right? And how you kind of set yourself up. And what your expectations were. Because again, a lot of people didn't expect rates to go up. Yeah. And as we all know, my wife saw that coming, so we planned accordingly.
She's fantastic.
She's great. She's great.
Yeah. She's you look in the mirror every day and you say, she's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what? Now more than ever.
Yeah.
Now more than ever.
Why is that?
Why is that? Well, because we just had a baby 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And she's doing a great job, and so I'm very thankful because
You couldn't do it without her.
No, definitely not. There's no way.
If you guys could zoom in, like, look how tired he is. This is the first time he actually left the house.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen these guys in like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. We didn't even realize, really.
You didn't miss me at all, eh?
I did.
Yeah, it's okay.
I did.
Thanks, baby.
Look at the hero over here. Yeah. So actually, okay. So thank you for the beautiful responses, guys. I won't correct you too much this time. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. I know it's only per first couple weeks, and you're allowed to have some time off.
Yeah.
But
you see that jab?
Well, it's okay. Take all the vacation you want.
Yeah.
But can you give us some light on how it is to be an entrepreneur who just had a baby, and like the challenges that you're kind of facing? Like how are you managing?
I'm not.
No.
I'm not managing.
That's a cry for help.
I'm just surviving right now is really what I'm doing.
Yeah.
When they tell you you're gonna lose sleep, like I didn't really sleep a lot anyways, but this is just like a new level of not sleeping.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, like, for example, this morning I was supposed to come meet up with you.
Yeah.
We were gonna do a little bit of work and do mastermind, all of us
I was
together.
waiting. Yeah.
And not that my baby kept us up last night because she
It's okay.
slept.
Throw the blame.
No, she slept. But the problem is that
so you have no excuse. Basically,
when I'm sleeping, I'm not getting that same level of sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the same quality of sleep because she's making noises. So you're waking up to see if she spit up, if she's choking, if there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So now, like, am I starting my days off as early? No. Am I starting to make calls as early? No. Am I as keen to book a 10 o'clock appointment to go meet? I know why you're laughing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. So like everything's kind of pushed back. So
yeah,
it's.
And then you want to be there for your spouse as well.
Of course, but you still have to
and
work.
you guys are learning. Yeah, exactly.
So it's very hard to balance.
Probably more of an adjustment period right now, especially probably for the first like 6 weeks kind of thing.
Yeah,
I have no idea, but
I'm
just assuming.
He's like totally expert. Look, it's always an adjustment period. Like we're always going through it. Like Jacob with his second child, like I think he was absolutely beat. Like he shut down the studio. Remember?
Yeah, no, it was crazy.
Massey was the same thing. Like and Maz when he got engaged. Remember?
And the girl from next door who came for her headshots was pretty upset when Jacob wasn't here to do the headshots. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Massey was saying she came back like 3, 4, 5 times just waiting for Jacob to get here. So like, everything comes to a halt. Everything comes to a halt, and it's just a matter of learning how to manage your time and expectations.
I feel like that's constant though.
Yeah.
Like especially being like a business owner.
Yeah.
Like you don't have the luxury of, hey, you punch in here, you check out there. So it's like constantly like a flow of what you're doing, you know.
And as a business owner, you're not going to be like, hey guys, completely shut down for the next 5 weeks. Well, you could take your 5 weeks with the government or with an employer or something, and you could like 100% dedicate your life to like, you know, transitioning.
Well, I went home. So when we had the baby, we have to stay there for 24 hours. So I slept overnight the first night. I went home the next morning, showered, grabbed my laptop, and came back to the hospital and started writing up offers from the hospital.
Oh, damn.
Because like,
you see what he does for you clients?
It's not going to stop, right? I had people who are like waiting on getting on home. So what am I supposed to do? Sorry, guys, I had a baby. You're not going to get a home anymore.
Yeah,
like, they're depending on you. So you have to try and find time and
they're your other baby.
Well, also you got to now feed the baby.
It's not like you can depend on your colleagues to kind of step in and do things for you, right?
No.
No, but it's an adjustment.
And if you do, they'll steal the client
the client. Yeah. You know what? Actually, there was one of the clients who I ended up putting an offer in on something. And I remember telling Elliott at one point, I needed him to do a showing. I'm like, I don't know, because we didn't have the baby yet. We didn't know when she was going to pop. I'm like, Elliott, just take the client. And he's like, no, man. He's like, I'll do the showing. Don't worry. Just keep the client. You need this.
Stand up, man.
See, I'm a good guy.
So, you know, sometimes you have good guys who help out. And then you have Omar who just takes shots.
Jawad, clip this.
But yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to navigate.
Congratulations,
and,
to you and Amanda.
Thanks.
And another shout out to Maz. Congratulations for your engagement as well.
Yes, really congratulations, Maz.
You know, I love it. On this podcast, we were able to celebrate so many good opportunities. All right, so we had another topic that we had in mind. Do you find that the capital gains reform, call it, the new political agenda, it's probably the same agenda, just the new slogan.
Yeah.
Has it flooded the market? Has it caused a flood in the market of listings?
I think so. I think there's definitely more people coming to the market now. Each person's situation, we don't know, but you can assume that, that the announcement came out that they're upping it. Was it today or tomorrow?
Yeah.
It ends up being the deadline. So leading up to that, definitely a lot more listings on the market kind of thing.
So what's going to happen after tomorrow?
I can't guarantee you, but there's a couple scenarios. One, either the people are going to pull their properties off the market, lowering inventory, which will probably be better for the market overall.
Yep.
Or half of them will just say, fuck it, I've already committed to listing it. Let's just get rid of it.
But do you think that they're going to have as much leeway? Like, to me, hey,
they're not going to be as flexible on the price.
Exactly.
Like if the deadline's tomorrow and you're going to bring me a low offer, then I might be more tempted to do that if I'm doing the math like on the back end.
Yeah, I'm going to say
how
like
much
15K,
tax is this
20K.
Saving? Yeah, exactly.
I might like share it with you or something. Whereas if not, then I'm just going to hold on my price.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you guys something though. Do you think that
I'm asking the questions.
Shut up,
I'm
Omar.
the captain of this shit.
What's up, bro?
No, it's I am the captain now.
Yeah.
No, not that one. Actually, anyways.
But do you guys think that many people actually listed their homes now to try and avoid that increase of capital gains?
I think investors.
I don't think it's huge. Like, I don't think like 50% of the listings are that. But I think that on top of...
Like, what kind of percentage would you put on it? Because the way I'm looking at it is a lot of these people, yes, are investors. They're looking at the long-term gain. And they're not looking so much at the equity that they're going to get out of selling this property.
Even if it's an investor, you don't also know, are they, is it personally held or is it, if it's personally held, doesn't matter. If it's, it does up to 250,000, but like, it won't be like a huge rush, like, cause they would have had to hold it for like a long time to make
but even if it's corp, right? Like, because you're taxed on the whole amount instead of, like, there's no 250, threshold. Grace or whatever. But if I'm a real estate investor and I did it through the corp, okay, sucks that I'm not gonna have that kind of grace. But what are you gonna do? Like, you're trying to save yourself tax now, but how much tax are you really going to save? And then what are you going to do with the money? Are you just not going to invest in real estate anymore? Or,
yeah, exactly. And then now you're going to
mean?
Miss out on the price appreciation.
And I was going to say,
yeah, because maybe if you're at retirement, like you're at the income phase of you're at the end, you're going to go enjoy life. Like, then maybe, okay, that makes sense. But
but even still, if you're at that point, then you probably don't have much left owing on this property, if anything. So wouldn't it be just as worth it for you to just pull out the equity, refinance that? You're still going to be able to live your life, and
your rent's going to comfortably
your rent's going to comfortably cover it. I had a conversation with somebody, and they were talking about, because they have multiple properties, and they want to leave it to their kids, but they're like capital gains and this and that, and so now they're going to sell one to fix it, live in the other one, and do like a domino, and they're like, but so we'll have all this cash that we can give to you tax free.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, but that cash is the value is gonna depreciate.
Yeah.
And while the asset's gonna appreciate, so because you don't want to pay taxes on it, you're gonna end up actually losing more money in the depreciation of the dollar.
It's like, I'd rather nobody have the money than
But the thing is people get so fixated on like what's new, right? Like, oh, they're talking about this. Well, they don't think outside of, oh, I'm gonna pay more tax when I sell this property, like people don't actually like realize that knee-jerk reaction is sometimes like stupid. Like, it's unnecessary.
But what's also annoying though is that people like this whole propaganda, like, again, we talked about this before, it's all for votes. Because if you actually understand what's happening, do you know how many corporations, like entrepreneurs, account for about 90% of employment in Canada? Did you know that?
90%.
It's nuts. You think big corporations? No. Okay. Entrepreneurs account for more employment than the federal government as a whole. Okay, but I think like double. Okay, just to give you an idea, and that's the largest employer. Secondly, if those companies are companies, they would have holdings for either manufacturing or for like for their own. Yes,
by entrepreneur is like, how do you qualify that? Because
business people.
Yeah, but as their sole income, because like you could work for the government and have a side gig and be considered
You're still an entrepreneur, but
like 90% are using it as their main income.
Yeah,
like are surviving off of it.
I would say from that definition, yes. Like you would look at it from a main source of employment, like restaurants, realtors,
recording studios,
yeah, realtor. But so those companies, if they have a little bit of money at the end of the year or over a few years, they have two options: pull it out as a dividend, or reinvest it into the company and grow the company. Right? You could hire more people, or buy machinery, equipment, buy a storefront, lease a bigger space, whatever. You're reinvesting somehow, and the money's coming back into the economy. Agreed?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Now, those people are not necessarily making millions. They're simply just buying. Oh, I want to buy the store that I operate as my restaurant, right? I want to own the store, and the banks are going to give me favorable financing, stuff like that. So that one person is not necessarily selling that property on a yearly basis, but when they retire, they will. They're not by any means the rich. They're just the middle class guy trying to do, or girl trying to make ends meet, and it's a freaking tough industry. But now those are the ones that are actually going to get affected. Now, Walmart and all these guys, okay, fine. Like, they could maybe take it a little bit more, and they're taxed differently anyways. But the people that are actually going to get affected are those people. And at the larger, like the more wealth that you have, you're creating family trusts, you're creating all these different tax loopholes and tax havens, and you're probably shoving your money abroad and all this stuff. Well,
Omar, king tax evasion.
Yeah, but then the small guy,
small guy who's getting hurt because they don't know how to navigate all of this.
That it really bugs me.
Yeah,
man. Like everything
grinds his gears.
Everything. Yeah. It really grinds my
gears.
But
it's funny because I feel like so many times when we talk about these things, we keep coming back to the same points where they're not really hurting the rich. They're just hurting the middle class people who they're claiming that they want to help.
That's really,
and they're the ones who are getting hurt.
Yeah,
the low income and the middle class income.
Yeah,
who made a move, banked on the equity basically being their retirement, and now they're losing so much of that. And they're claiming that it's to stop the rich, but the rich people, like you said, they're finessing the system heavy.
Yeah. And the other thought too is the rich people, like the banks and the banking system and whatnot.
Yeah.
If you miss a few payments on your mortgage, what happens?
They come take it.
They come take your house. But if a tenant misses a few payments on their rent, what happens?
They live rent free.
And who is protecting it?
Depends what side of the law you're on.
But that's what I mean. But isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Depending on who made the law, who is more powerful. Like, so the small landlord is not powerful enough to say anything.
Yeah.
But the banks are, so they.
But aren't they now making they're trying to obviously protect landlords more now? So aren't they creating like a rate your tenant database type thing?
But who's they? Is it government action? Like there's an act called the Power of Sale, the Bank of the Bank Act. Okay, so it gives powers to the bank to do X, Y, Z. But there's no such powers for a landlord, even if the landlord's right. Now, the flip side is there's also some really bad landlords, like terrible people, and it's not fast. The system is not fast enough for that. But what I'm saying is, you have a very, very smooth system when a bank is starting to lose money. You have a very smooth operations. So why can't we apply that?
This happens. This happens.
Exactly. Why can't we apply some rules like this to?
I think we mentioned on a previous episode too. Like landlords would be willing to pay for
extra,
it.
Yeah. I'd pay.
Yeah.
100%. And I would want to know that other landlords are abiding by the rules. So put in a license, put in things like that. That's fine.
A license to be a landlord?
A landlord. Yeah. And then also, but you have to have the flip side to it. Tenants have to also be accountable. So everything that these politicians are doing is all to
get votes.
It's to get vote. And then it's like, oh, we're gonna go after the super rich and the super bad, but hey, we're gonna apply this blanket rule to everybody. And the people that get screwed over and over is the ones that are just trying to make ends meet. It's the good tenant, it's the good landlord, it's the guy that saved a couple $100,000 over investments and life savings and whatnot, puts it into a private equity investment or puts it into a private lending, and then gets screwed, doesn't have any powers, doesn't have like it's over and over and over. And this fear mongering like really bugs me. Like it's annoying. And this is all it's been since 2020.
And because there's no change in it, like people have, if you have a landlord that had a bad experience with tenants, like it taints them moving forward. Like,
how
like
hard is it to get a rental right now?
Oh my God, ridiculous.
It's crazy. It's craziness.
Yeah.
But again, because maybe the investors are selling off. So then
they're
you're
selling
removing
off,
rental
but they're also,
properties.
like you said, because they're scared because they had one bad situation, one bad scenario, that now they're scared that everyone's going to be a bad seat.
Yeah.
And one bad voice like is heard like 100,000 times.
Yeah.
Nobody goes, I have the best tenant.
Yeah.
Because
I'm keeping them.
Yeah.
I've got a great tenant right now.
I know, but like
and I've actually gotten
you're not
so
gonna
lucky.
go on City TV and
I'll
be
do
like,
it. What do you mean? I'm on podcast
Bam,
bam, bro.
broadcast.
This is the name of the show.
Listen, I'm on like zero sleep. All right. This is
I'm
bigger
on
than
podcast.
CTV.
Where are we?
Who am I?
Did I just wake up?
Why is that baby still crying?
Did you see the guy posing as a realtor?
Yeah.
In Ottawa.
Hilarious.
Well,
That
you know
is
what's funny?
messed up.
I
That's
sent
crazy.
that article. I had a client who reached out for a rental, and that happened to her. So she actually went and she met with somebody. She did the entire application, and she gave first and last month's rent.
Oh boy.
I think she gave even more because her credit wasn't good. So she gave more. So that
3-4
to strengthen.
months. Yeah.
And then it ended up not being that person was not
So
the
the money
real
went
realtor.
directly to them.
Went directly to the person.
And you know what
And
the
then she
crazy
never
thing
got
is?
the rent.
Like you can't even get the money back because you willingly sent it.
You
Yeah.
sent
The
it.
same as like if you get like a text and you
No,
log
you
in
mean
and
with
stuff.
e-transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still fraud.
But
You
now
know, because
They're imposter, like it's an imposter.
no, I understand, but people that like text your phone with like a banking login
Yeah.
thing, it happened to my friend, okay, and they ended up taking like $3,000 from him, and then he goes to the bank and says, hey, they frauded me, like this, that, the other, and the bank said you willingly gave them your information.
you'd have to
so
do
I
a
can't
police
help you."
report, I think, at that point and have them charged and go through that whole process probably to try and get the money back.
What if you never find them?
But like,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. They probably disappeared off the face.
but
of the
if
earth.
you're sending e-transfer to somebody, doesn't that guy now know?
I could open a bank account.
But you have to have a social insurance number. You have to have all that stuff.
Okay, brother.
But then
it's the
now,
internet. You get
now
a
the
fake
cops
one.
know
Yeah.
that I sent you stuff.
No, because you don't
no,
use
they
your own
probably have
information,
fraudulent-
bro.
they probably have fraud. Listen, man. At the end of the day, like
Oh,
we're in
they
the era
probably-
of technology. You can do whatever you want with anything.
Oh well, I'm so naive. I didn't
Bro,
even
you
think of
can
that.
you can buy people's sins off the internet.
Yeah,
probably,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah. What's yours?
don't worry about it.
Uh,
You have it.
Yeah.
Means I'm coming for you when I get.
But yeah, it's crazy. So this poor girl. So when I had met her, and I want to go through the whole process of everything, she was so skeptical too. She's like, well, you know, she didn't want to give me information. She not like obviously eventually I won her over, and then she saw we're a legitimate
Yeah.
brokerage and saw everything,
Yeah.
so it worked out. But
Wow,
pretty
it's
messed
so
up, man.
crazy.
yeah,
But for those of you that are looking for, well, first of all, I don't know why you're not calling us, but you should check out on Rico. They have a search for the registrant, which means for an agent, and you could search the brokerage, the address, and the agent's name. So make sure you always do that before you engage with giving anybody your money.
But I think
we'll put
they're-
the website on the screen.
Yeah, Rico.
but they're posing as that
RECO.
realtor.
I know.
You know what I mean? So like it's hard for them
That
to
is
even catch
that is a
it.
good point. Yeah, but there's a phone number associated to it. You
Yeah.
can call and you could check. You should never ever send money to your agent. Your money should always go directly to the brokerage, and those are also registered.
Never to the
Yeah.
landlord either. 'cause
Never
I guess
to the
that's what
landlord.
They said that it was happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like even though it makes sense that you're paying first and last, when you're
the
dealing with
landlord,
realtors, like by the legislation,
Yeah.
it has to go to a brokerage
Correct.
trust
Now,
account.
some agents they don't know those rules because they think, oh, just a lease or whatever. But if you're gonna do a lease,
Some agents?
yeah, some people actually don't know. It's a misconception in the industry.
Serious?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the first thing you learn.
I know.
Bro, how many people do we
because
deal
for
with on a
buying-
day that don't know what they're doing?
Yeah, it's true.
Happens all
Do
the
you want to
time.
name names?
No.
Rico's be calling now. Yo, no, but it's true. Like I get asked, like, so, oh yeah, no, okay, so we're doing agreement to lease, whatever. Just send them money to what's your landlord's email? I'm like,
Are you fucking crazy?
I'm like, you're not gonna know nothing about my landlord until
Yeah.
the deal is done. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like the money sits in the brokerage, and that is our job as a brokerage, is to hold the money to make sure that the landlord and the tenant are honest and they both show up on the day of closing. That's
even I just listed a rental for a repeat client or whatever, and she was like, hey, is there any way, like, my mortgage for the property comes out on this day, can I get the deposit like early? And I'm like, I actually can't help you with that. Like,
you want to close earlier?
Yeah, sure. yeah, exactly.
That's the only way.
But then what do you mean, like the first and last month they wanted earlier?
Yeah,
they want the rent to be paid on a certain day? They ended up paying like 4-month deposit. Okay.
They were coming from out of town, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter anyways. They ended up paying a 4-month deposit, and the landlord asked me if because we have their deposit, the listing brokerage holds it. Yeah. She was asking if we could release the money to her.
Okay, sooner.
Yeah, like, you know, what month is it? So July 1st is closing.
Yeah.
But her payment comes out on July 1st or 2nd.
Yeah, so she wants the money earlier.
She was like, is it possible to get it earlier? And I told her,
we get those questions often.
You know?
Yeah. If it's held in the trust account, there's only a few ways that it could be pulled out.
Yeah.
Mutual release.
I feel like people are scared of making their clients mad, though. You know, like they'll try and like, you know, like, just tell them how it is, man. Like,
it is what it is at the end of the day.
What do you want me to do?
It's for the industry protection, right? Like you want to protect the landlord, you want to protect the tenant.
For everybody.
Yeah.
End of the
and
day.
Same with buyers and sellers. Like that's the whole point of a trust account, right? But what were we talking about? I don't know how we got to all this.
The guy that was posing as a realtor.
Yeah, that's messed up. There's been a lot of scams, obviously, recently, but that one, I think they went even and changed their picture on the sign and printed a new sign. It was like next level. Like they.
Apparently there was a bunch of showings that same day.
Yeah,
like that same person.
So they had a locksmith come. He opened the door. Crazy.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I feel like there has to be something in the back end going on, because like, how do you know that property is vacant if you're not like connected with a realtor that will tell you it's vacant?
You know what I mean? So like somebody told that guy that it's vacant. You know, like
at the end of the day, it's not hard to find.
Yeah, but then imagine like
or he went
other
for
showings coming in. Like, you know, you have like, that's risky as fuck, because if I'm gonna do, like, let's say I'm gonna finesse 5 people, right?
Yeah,
you still need time so that they're not overlapping and whatnot. And how do you know in that, you know, call it?
But he changed the keys.
Period.
He changed the keys. So even if
a locksmith would just open it, no? Not change it.
Or they can change the cylinder on it very easily. It's not
you
hard.
could just change the keys,
Crazy.
I mean, there's a lot of things you could do, right?
And like in Toronto, there was like some people that sold the house, and then the new people moved in, and they
didn't even have the right to sell the house.
Exactly. And then new people moved in, and then this guy shows up.
That's a whole new level. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's bold.
And the money's gone, everything. But title insurance is there for that stuff.
$30,000 deposit, no problem.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Anyways, guys, well, this was fantastic. Do we have anything else that you want to add?
I have a plug. I promised somebody I'd plug their restaurant.
Okay.
Just so you guys know.
Was it good?
It was very good.
Like how good?
So good that I'm talking about it right now.
Okay.
So was it so good you're going to take me there right now after this?
Not right now. I have to go home to my baby, but another time for sure.
He's already putting driving directions on there.
Yeah. I'm just double checking the address, bro. So this place is called Skinny George's. It's smash burgers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Milanos on Saint Laurent, on the corner of Saint Laurent, and I think it's Heron.
Like close to the museum.
Yeah, 2241 Saint Laurent Boulevard. Across from the metro. Anyways, it's a Milano's. They've got a secret menu. It's called Skinny George's Smash Burgers.
A secret menu?
Yeah.
Oh, so you go into Milano's.
You go into Milano's, and they have a separate menu from Milano's for Skinny George's.
Like
this one location.
A ghost kitchen kind of thing.
Yeah, like a ghost kitchen.
Oh, cool.
Bomb ass smash burgers. So check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
What did you have on it?
I got their Skinny George. So it's the smash burger. I think it was like onions, pickles, and their special sauce.
Any cheese?
And cheese. Well, yeah, it's part of it, of course.
What's their bun like?
It was delicious.
Yeah,
is what it was like. Yeah, there's not really much else you need to do to explain it, other than the fact that it was delicious.
I can tell you're a food critic. I love it.
Why do I have to explain it all? It's delicious. Go try it. You'll see for yourself.
If it's not good, Rabieh will refund you.
I'm not like Omar, where I have to go into a backstory. Well, guys, as you know, the government made new laws about wheat and the way it had to be harvested, and due to that,
everybody knows that.
It's good.
And really, they're just trying to fuck the middle guy.
It's like the bun. He's getting smashed.
Yeah.
Like the smash burger.
Delicious.
Yeah.
All right, that was
Well,
good.
thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bam.
Bam.
Bam. Tune into the next one for more amazing content. Thank you, everybody.